After driving our van all the way down the Baja Peninsula to Cabo San Lucas and back, we wanted to take some time today to answer the top 10 questions that you guys had for us during our trip.
If you're new to our channel, we're Bob and Hillary, and we have a Ram Promaster Thor Rise 18T. So pretty much the smallest camper van that you can buy right now. No shower and no bathroom. We bought it in the summer of 2021, so last summer, and we've just been loving traveling by van. And so, like Bob said, today's video is all about answering you guys' questions, because we did take this van all the way down to Cabo and back, and you guys asked some amazing questions, and so we're gonna try and answer all of those today. Question number one, how was crossing the border?
Crossing the border was quite simple, but one thing that's really important is to make sure you do your research before you go. Make sure you know where you're crossing, where you need to go to get your paperwork stamped. It's so much easier once you've looked at it on Google Maps and you've spent some time preparing for that. Oh, here we go, hang on. So we ended up having three options for crossing the border. We could drive all the way to San Diego and cross at Tijuana. We could cross at Mexicali, or we could cross at Tecate. And we decided to go ahead and cross at Mexicali, which was very easy to do. They basically waved us right on through with no issues, no hassle, and it wasn't quite as busy as Tijuana. Hang on, are we?
Still your guest only.
That's weird. I mean, obviously I'm a guest, but I don't know what that means.
Weird.
Okay, so let's drive around here and see if we can find another park. Hey, we can park right there. It's a little bit of a farther walk than I want, but sometimes you need to just take the parking spot that you can get with these vans because they're so big.
Yep. Okay.
So ultimately, crossing the border was quite simple. Just make sure that you're well prepared and you won't have any problems.
Before we answer the next question, we are starving, and so we're gonna quick go get some Jersey Mike's subs. Let's go. Okay, so question number two is, what do you need to drive into Mexico? I mean, obviously we drove our van. What did we need to drive into Mexico? And I would say the first thing we needed was obviously our passports. The second thing is an FMM card, a Visa card, and you have to get that after you cross the border, or you can get it online. Go watch our first video, I'll link it right here, on how crazy of a process that was. We did not have it easy. We made all the mistakes, but we made them so that you guys don't have to. And so you definitely need that FMM card. You can get it online, or you can get it after you're crossing the border. And then the third thing is you do need insurance for your vehicle. We went with Baja Bound. I'll link that down below. In our opinion, it was super cheap and it covered our needs. And so those are the three things I would say you needed to cross over the border into Mexico. But hot tip, where we never did show our insurance to anyone. We never showed our FMM card to anyone. The only time we needed a passport was to get back into the United States. So it's one of those things where you gotta have it just in case, but we went through, I think, 6 checkpoints all the way down, and then obviously 6 more coming back up into the United States. Never was asked for any of our paperwork, but those are our top 3 things that you're gonna need to drive over into Mexico.
Number 3, military checkpoints. What I would say there is, one is you do need to be careful, but not worried about it. So careful in that if you're doing something wrong, then you should be concerned. But if you're just simply traveling down there just to enjoy the beaches and the food and the amazing people, you really don't have anything to worry about. You just need to do what they say. And, you know, a couple things that are really important to remember. It is illegal to take a bribe or give a bribe in Mexico. So you're just as it's just as illegal for you to pay them as it is for them to ask you to be paid. And so don't participate in that. And a couple of things: never get out of your vehicle, never give them your actual documents. If they're going to actually write you a ticket because you've legitimately done something wrong, you need to travel to the police station and pay your fine there. You do not pay the police officer that's pulling you over. But when you're going through the military checkpoints, they pretty much just want to know where you're going, where are you from, where you're going. And everybody that we ran into was really nice, and we had no issues crossing all of the security checkpoints. And we only had our van checked once, which they were really nice, gentle with everything, and it was a pretty good experience.
Fourth question, how were the roads in Mexico? And I'm gonna have to defer to Bob on that one because he did 100% of the driving.
So the roads in Mexico are actually not all of that bad. However, there's a couple things you have to remember. First, signage is pretty much terrible or non-existent. So you do need to know where you're going. Google Maps is your friend. You need to utilize it. And make sure you download the offline maps so that when you don't have service, you can still know where you're going. Second, they are quite narrow roads. So that, coupled with the lack of guardrails, the lack of signage, you do not want to drive at night in Mexico. So make sure you plan your days accordingly. When you're going to drive, know where you're going, know how long it's going to take, because you do not want to get caught not knowing where you're going in the dark on those roads where there's cattle, there's all sorts of, potholes, things like that. And it's just really dangerous driving at night. So you don't want to take on any unnecessary risk. And then the last thing is beware of the speed bumps, or the tapas, or tapas, and they are no joke. They get kind of deceptive because sometimes they'll paint them. Sometimes they paint them, sometimes they don't. You just never really know, but you can typically see them before and after leaving every small town or community, and you just need to be very careful of those because they will rattle your van apart. So, but all in all, the roads in Mexico weren't too bad. Just take it slow, know where you're going, and you should be just fine. All right, we're at our next stop. Let's get some gas.
Speaking of gas, number 5 is, how much did it cost for us to drive the entire Baja Peninsula, which I believe was a little over 2,200 miles, if I did the math right. It was a little hard to figure out, I'm not gonna lie, because we paid sometimes in cash and sometimes on card. I would say 80% of the time we were able to pay at a gas station on our credit card, and we got the best exchange rate doing that. But when I was able to add it all up, my math came out to about $700, $650 to $700 total for gas. And the two things that we walked away with learning about getting gas in Mexico was, the first one being, you don't pump your own gas. I think only one time in all of Mexico did we pump our own gas. Other than that, they pump it for you. Therefore, bring smaller pesos to tip them because, they're pumping your gas. And a lot of times they're going to clean your windshield too. So that was something we learned. And tip number 2, make sure you're getting gas almost every time you see a gas station. A lot of times we'd fill up and we still had half a tank left, but gas stations can be few and far between, and you don't have service on some of the roads. And so we need to fill up at gas stations every chance we got, right?
Most important thing to do. There's a couple of gas gaps there that you do not want to be caught without gas.
Right. Because no service.
No service and no gas.
Yeah.
I think there's like 140-mile stretch or something like that where there's literally no gas stations between the two spots.
Yeah. Okay, so question number 6. Did we need to know Spanish?
I would argue no, that we don't need to know Spanish, although would have been very helpful. That being said, there's some really nice tools out there. There's Google Translate. There's some things like that might help you along the way. But what we found is that between a lot of hand gesturing and some broken English and broken Spanish, we were able to figure things out. So it was not a problem, and by no means do I speak Spanish at all. And so it was pretty easy though to get around, communicate with people. A lot of people down there speak English, so it was not a real problem to get what we needed.
Question number 7, where did we stay the entire time we were driving? And so we did 2 things. We boondocked a lot on beaches, and then we also stayed at RV parks. And the reason why is, like I said at the beginning, this van does not have a shower. We do have a cassette toilet, so we do have a toilet, but we don't have a bathroom. And so every so often we wanted to stay at an RV park to kind of fill up our water and use the bathroom there, use the shower there. I think plug in, I don't know, do all the things that you would do at an RV park. And so I'm gonna let you guys know all the places that we stayed and the prices, and I'm also gonna link them all down below so that if you wanna go to Baja, Mexico, you know, some great places to stay. So the first place we went to was in San Felipe, and it was at Kiki's RV Park. It was $35 a night. We only stayed one night there. Great experience, we loved it, we felt safe. For our first night in Mexico, that was a big concern for us, was like, okay, where are we gonna stay? What are we gonna do? And so for us, that gave us peace of mind staying at Kiki's RV park that first night. So good experience. The second place that we stayed was in Santa Rosalia, which that was the day that we drove like, I think 8 or 9 hours. I think 9+ hours. It was a really long day. We ended up finding, I don't even know how we found this place. I think Bob probably had it marked before we left, but we stayed at the Santa Rosalia San Lucas Cove RV Park. We got a beachfront space. You'll have to watch that video. I don't feel like it was very beachfront, but we did pay extra for it, and the entire cost for the night was only $12. Okay, we're at the car wash, so let us move up so that we can wash our car.
All right, while you finish up where we stayed at the RV park, I'm gonna get started washing the van.
The third place that we stayed was in Loreto, and it was at Loreto Shores Villa RV Park. So yes, the first 3 stays were at RV parks, and I think it just took us a while to, I don't know, get comfortable being in Mexico and figuring out, you know, places to boondock. So the first 3 nights we did stay at RV parks, and that third one, like I said, in Loreto Shores Villa RV Park. It was $30 a night to stay there. And then the next 2 places that we stayed were free boondocking places. And the first one was at, let's see, oh gosh, I'm not gonna say this right. It was in La Paz, and it was, okay, hopefully, can you hear Bob? Sorry if it's a little loud. He's clearly doing chores. So anyways, okay, the first place was in La Paz. It was at Playa Pichalinque. I don't know if I said that right. I'll put that right here, but like I said, it's linked in the bottom so that you can go find it. And then the next free spot we stayed at was in La Paz, and it was, let's see, Playa El, oh, how do you say it? Takalate. I used to be able to say it. Oh my gosh, I've forgotten how to say it. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place though that we stayed was Cabo San Lucas, and that was at Playa Santa Maria. It's just a parking lot. It was right next to a hotel. It was just a parking lot. It was right next to it was not right next to the beach, but you walked down a path to the beach. It was gorgeous. It was a perfect spot to stay at. We loved it. It was free. It was quiet. It felt secure. So yeah, that was at Playa Santa Maria in Cabo San Lucas. And then we went to Las Barillas. We went to the Sunrise RV Park, because by that time we had done a lot of free nights, and so we were ready to have an RV park. The Sunrise RV Park in Las Barillas was $30, and the coolest part there was we got to do laundry. It was 50 pesos per load, and so it worked out really well. Moving on to Mulahay, that was our next stop. That was Playa Santas Pac is where we stayed in Mulahay. Playa Santas Pac RV Park is where we stayed in Mulahay, and that it was $10 a night, so not bad. And then we went up, I think 4 hours to Mario's RV Park, and this was the only spot that we were like, okay, this is not pretty. It's just an RV spot. It's not next to the ocean. There's nothing great about it, except for it had showers, it had bathrooms, and it had a restaurant. And we were tired that day, so it definitely came in handy, but it's not somewhere we'd say, oh, it's a must stay. Okay, moving on, 2 more left. This is getting kind of long. We went to San Quentin at Fidel's RV Park. That was pretty cool. That ended up being, oh, Mario's RV Park was $10. Fidel's RV Park is $10. That was like 3 hours, I think, from our location, from the Mario's RV Park and Restaurant. And that place was pretty cool. We definitely got to stay pretty close to the ocean. Loved it. Great experience. Fidel was awesome. It's Fidel's RV Park, and you definitely meet him, and he offers you lobster. So that was pretty cool. And then the last place we went to was in Ensenada. It was La Jolla RV Park. That was $25 a night. That's the one that was interesting because it definitely was a closed RV park. We ended up talking to some people and they said it had been closed since for all of COVID and that they were going to do renovations, but the plans were not to open it again to the public as far as like RVs and stuff like that. But for some reason they let us in and let us pay, and we were the only ones there for the entire night. So thankful we got to stay there though, because that's where we got to dig that mini little teeny beach hot tub. The hot springs were on that beach and it was amazing. Those are all the places that we stayed while driving, you know, through Baja, Mexico.
Question number 8. What were some of the things that we, you know, purchased or took that we either found out we needed or made the trip better? You know, there's a couple of things that are, I think, come to mind for me. I'm always big on having a place to sit and relax outside of the van because I drive, and so I have to sit in this same seat basically the entire time that we are driving. And so having a different seat that is comfortable is really important for me. I know these swivel and do some other things, but we've got some folding chairs. I really like them. I know they're not Hillary's favorite, but I think it's really important to have a comfortable seat that you enjoy that's not your driving seat. Yeah, the one I bought was from Costco. I've seen them online, but it's just basically a little collapsible folding camping chair. The other thing is, part of the reason that we have a van is so that we can travel to go places. And the places we want to go, there's lots of things to do. It's like snorkeling, kayaking, paddle boarding, hiking. So you need to have things to do when you get there. And so we actually had a kayak and a paddleboard,
snorkeling gear,
and all of those are must-haves. If you're going to the beach, you need to have some of those things so that you can enjoy the water and just be there and relax and have fun. I mean, that's why we have a van.
Everything we got was inflatable, and that really came in handy so that we had ways to store it. I have seen people store like surfboards and paddleboards on the side of the van. I don't really think we have that option with this van, but for us, buying inflatable things really came in handy. We used the kayak a ton of times. We used our paddleboard quite a few times. Bob snorkeled. I'm afraid of the ocean, so I wasn't gonna snorkel, but yeah, I would say water toys were very important. The one thing that we did bring that we didn't need, I'll let Bob tell you. You don't know?
Oh, my wetsuit?
Yep.
Yeah, I bought a brand new wetsuit, and kind of a combination of things. First off, where we went swimming in Cabo, it was warm enough that, although I was kind of being a baby, it was warm enough to swim without a wetsuit. But also, you know, I just didn't really want to climb into it and have to deal with cleaning it and then drying it, and we were on the move so much. But that was my own fault, and that was decisions that we made.
Yeah,
but
laziness.
I think it would have been a good idea to have if we were able to spend a few more days there.
Yeah.
And if there was a place with a shower where you could, you know, rinse it off and dry it off a little easier, that might be easier.
Except for in Cabo, there was a shower.
This is true.
But
my excuses are running out very quickly.
Yeah, his excuses are running out very quickly, but we did buy a wetsuit. We are the owners of a brand new wetsuit that was never used, and it was really cold. I think there would have been days that we could have used it, but I think the other reason why it didn't get used was nobody else was in a wetsuit, right?
Yeah, that's very true. I would have been the only one, and so, you know, I didn't want to be that guy.
Right, so I would say those are the things that we can think of right now. I mean, other than that, just filling up with groceries before we went, and then, you know, stopping at grocery stores while in Mexico was easy.
Yes, and I will say, Walmart in Cabo was amazing. Don't waste your time going to Costco. I'm a huge Costco fan. I love Costco, but Walmart is the place in Cabo for sure.
Yep. One thing I do regret was not going to any just local grocery stores. We're such newbies on this trip, and we just didn't, and that is a big regret of mine. I wish we would have just went to some local grocery stores or little huts or anything and just bought the local food. So we didn't do that on this trip, but we will.
Number 9, is Mexico safe? I think it is. I think you do need to, take the normal precautions that you would take when traveling anywhere, and make sure that you keep your wits about you. You know your surroundings. If you feel uncomfortable, you should probably do something different. But in general, I think Mexico is a safe place. The people are great. The food is great. We ended up having a wonderful time while we were there. You just need to be careful. Number 10. Would we go back to Mexico? I think the answer is unequivocally yes.
Of course. Of course.
Mexico is a wonderful place. I don't know if I would drive the whole entire length in the time frame we did. We had a pretty aggressive schedule.
No. We would want to take at least a month or two.
Yeah. Now, that being said, I definitely think that, we could do a trip to San Felipe, to maybe even Mulegé, make that into a week-long trip. And I think that would be a little bit more, reasonable with the mileage and the time to get down there, plus some time to enjoy it. But Baja is an amazing place, and there's just few places on the planet like that I've been. And so it's just a really wonderful place. Yeah.
So we'd go back.
Yep.
And then I think we should take the ferry over to mainland Mexico.
Yeah, I think the only issue I have with that is the time commitment.
Yeah.
It's so long to get down there. And so, maybe who knows what the future holds, but that would be a fun adventure.
Yeah, that'd be fun. But I think, to answer your question, yes. We're at the end. We did all 10 questions. I think the thing that we would love to know from you guys is there any other questions that you were hoping we would answer or that we just didn't answer? I mean, we tried to think of all the most popular ones that we saw in the comments and different things and people that talk to us, but I'm sure there's tons more questions that we're not even thinking about right now. And then we have 2 exciting announcements, but both of them you're gonna have to wait for.
Yep.
The first one is in the next video. We are going somewhere with some friends. And if you've watched our channel for long, you know them. They've been on our channel before. And in a previous episode, they were trying to decide if they were gonna buy a Class B, a Class C, I don't know. There's just so many different decisions. They were trying to decide what they needed for their needs. And the one thing we can tell you is they did buy it.
They did buy it.
They
and
bought
I think
something.
I think they'll be surprised what they ended up buying too.
Yeah.
It even surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, so that's coming in next week's video. And then we have the ultimate surprise coming. We are not allowed to say anything yet. Zipping, but we would love to know, what is your guess? If you had to guess what our surprise is, or what, I don't know, what would you say? A big change?
I mean, it is a big change. It is a surprise. It's something exciting.
Yeah. What would you guys guess?
So, you'll just have to see.
Yep. Anyways, probably in the next month you guys are gonna find that out, but I would love to know your thoughts. Leave them in the comments below. But I'd say that's all we have for today's video. Yeah, and then give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. But until next time, bye guys.